Crazy stuff goes on in this industry. If I ever visibly saw somebody obviously being abused or sexually abused or spoken down to, I would stand up in less than a second. Have I heard about it? Yes. Have I seen it done to other people? No.
I feel like in this industry, it's very competitive and very ambitious. So if you showed the slightest bit of being weak, you can get taken down very easily.
I've been on sets for the past 7 years where sometimes you feel pushed. You feel like you can't say no or else something, is gonna happen with a campaign or something else is gonna happen with this. But, I've learned this year that my boundaries are something that can't be crossed and can't be pushed. And some shoots, I wish I could go back and I wish I could have never done them. But sometimes I guess you have to mess up to be able to move forward.
For me, I've just always been a little bit of an insecure person or anxious. And when you're constantly, people are constantly taking your photos or touching you, and you're kind of in the limelight in that way, it's easy to kind of hyper-focus on the things that you don't like about yourself.
I see and have empathy towards my other models that I'm on set with who are talking about their bodies and what they're eating and the sizes they want to be, and I know what it's like to be there, and I know that pressure is so real. For most of the shoots I'm a part of, the styling is pretty tricky, and sometimes having a batch of clothes that just won't fit has made me feel insecure, like I need to fit the clothes and not the clothes fit me.
I definitely have struggled in the industry in terms of going to a fitting and just my feet being too big to fit in the shoes or my shoulders being too broad. And sometimes it does kind of tie in a little bit to gender dysphoria for me in a lot of ways, because there are a lot of girls who are cis, on set, who are, who fit into all the clothes. And I definitely have felt different when I'm in certain spaces and I have to try on certain clothes and I'm just different parts of my body don't really fit the mold.
This industry, we all need to realize that every single person has their own struggles and their own issues of who they are, and you can't make people do things that they don't want to do.
I think a lot of racism happens very quietly and very subtly, and that doesn't make it better, it just makes it more insidious and more pervasive.
And people really don't get it. Being African American is something that should be celebrated and that should be recognized. And being an African American woman that is a non-traditional size woman is something that pushes me even further.
When I first started, I guess brands didn't know what to do with my hair and my skin. I would go on set and the hairstylist said, "Do you know how to straighten your hair?" And I said no. And I asked him, "Do you know how to straighten my hair?" And he said no. And then we were just like, okay, now what? And then that's when I realized I was like, I have to stand my ground. I have to stand for something. I have to cause some change. I refused to do any shows or any shoots with straight hair. And I basically told them it's afro or cornrows or nothing.
One of those things that I heard a lot was, oh, you know how to speak English? Oh, you're fluent? Oh, you don't have an accent. And I'm like, I don't tell you don't have an accent.
I think it's really about peeling the layers back and looking this ugly, ugly, nasty monster in the face and being aware of how you've contributed to it or how those you are connected to have contributed to it or how the house you were raised in cultivated an environment for you to feel comfortable to be racist.
Every single little kid should be able to see someone who looks like them being considered a supermodel.
I'm proud of where we've gotten with diversity. I think we have a long way to go. And I say that very, very strongly. I made it very clear a couple of years ago that I don't want to go onto a set that doesn't have representation of everybody. I just don't. And I don't feel comfortable on a set like that.
It gets quite irritating when people have this one idea of what an Asian woman should be like, when really there's so much more. There are so many types of Asian beauties and just beauties in general.
I was rejected a lot because they were like, oh, you seem so cool, but you don't have the look. I'm like, what look are you talking about? Is it because my eyes are bigger?
Representation, I feel like, is the bare minimum. And I feel like a lot of people act like representation is like the ultimate goal, right? Like everyone wants to be seen and heard and represented. But I feel like representation is a little bit more complicated than that. There's room then for potential tokenization, because I was always openly trans and I made gender always a huge part of the conversation. And I still do. It's something that I very much care about, but I don't want it to be like the only thing to define me.
It's like, okay, we're gonna include you, but like, whoa, whoa, whoa. We still have to make sure that everybody knows exactly what you are so that they know that we're doing a good job.
I want to see tokenism get thrown out the window, honestly.
I think there are brands and designers that genuinely care about inclusivity and representation. And I think that there are some that follow it as a trend and profit off of it, but it's not sincerely authentic.
The biggest thing that needs to change is like, how can we be ethical in representation? Think about people as full people and varied individuals and kind of honor all facets of who they are.
I think that's the biggest change for me in the past couple of years is I'm being included in things that I never thought I could be included in.
The work that I'm doing now is going to, in the future, provide more space for people after me. I take so much pride in showing up anywhere I am to represent us to the best of my abilities.
Moving forward, that's what every single person of influence can do. We need to make sure that there are artists from everywhere in the world being able to have a voice, to be heard, and to be seen, because there's so much to see out there, and we're doing a disservice to worldwide communities by not representing them.